short Jai. It's all tangled up. Hari Hari Bol. Okay, no need. We'll just go straight into the class. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Govinda Jiv Ki Jai. Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Jiv Ki Jai. Jai Shri Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai. Jai Shri Nrsinga Bhagavan Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gauranga Ki Jai. Jai Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhu Vedacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Devi Satyavachai Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. For my Dandavat Pranams, my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudevs, Siksha and Diksha Gurudevs, Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansastatara Sata Shri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatara Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatara Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. My Dandavat Pranams to all of my Siksha Guru Varga, and my Dandavat Pranams to all of my Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, and my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and to all of the Vaishnavis. So Baladev Purnima today, the Transcendental Appearance Day of Shri Balaramji, and we have some very nice Katha from Vishuddha Chaitanya Vani the official website of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. So Srila Maharaj began his Harikatha by first reciting the Pranam mantra of Shri Baladeva. So there's two different mantras here. Namaste to Halagrama. Namaste Mushalayudha. Namaste Revati Kanta. Namaste Bhaktavatsala. Namaste Dharani Dhara. Namaste Balinam Shreshta. Pralambare Namaste tu. Namaste tu. Trahimam Krishna Purvaja. Translation. Obeisances to you, O holder of the plow. That's halagrama. Then obeisances to you, O wielder of the mace, Mushalayudha. Obeisances to you, O darling of Revati, Revati Kanta. And obeisances to you, O kind benefactor of your devotees, Bhaktavatsala. Obeisances to you, O upholder of the earth, Dharani Dhara. Obeisances to you, O best of the strong, Balinam Shreshta. Obeisances to you, O enemy of Pralambha, Pralambare Namaste. And the final, please deliver me, O older brother of Krishna. Trahimam Krishna Purvaja. Today is a special day. It is the Avirbhav of Shri Balarama. So the topic of discussion today will be connected to Shri Baladeva Tattva. The first section is subtitled, Study Scriptures under the Guidance of Vaishnavas. Janma Karma Chame Divyam. The subject of Bhagavan's birth and activities are all divine and wonderful, as well as incomprehensible to our mundane intellect. Those who haven't studied Srimad Bhagavad Gita under the guidance of a Vaishnava, they have various doubts. In Puri, a group of devotees from abroad would daily approach me seeking answers to a host of questions. I'm sure that Srimati Shamrani Didi was probably in that group. The nature of their queries went such as, when did Mother Rohini conceive Balarama in her womb? So what has been understood from the shloka, from the Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, he's asking this question. If someone asks the question, when did Mother Rohini conceive Balarama in her womb, then he's saying, so what has been understood from the shloka of Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Chame Divyam? So what is that shloka from Bhagavad Gita telling? Krishna is telling this shloka in the 4th chapter in the very beginning of the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And he's saying, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. What's the meaning of that?
Janma Karma, of course, is birth and activities.
Mm-hmm.
And one who understands the mystery of my birth and activities.
Well, the main thing is Divyam,
Divine.
the transcendental nature. That's what Krishna is saying. Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yo Veti Tattvataha. So Veti means to fully, deeply understand Tattvataha, in truth. Krishna has made this statement in the Gita. It's a very, very often repeated and very important statement by Sri Krishna. That anyone who understands in truth, the transcendental nature of my janma, that means my birth, and my karma, my activities, my pastimes, my leelas. If anyone understands that, what will happen to that person? Tyaktva deham. Tyaktva deham means when he gives up the deha. Yes, tyaktva means he gives up the body, so-called death. Tyaktva deham punar janma naiti. Krishna says he will not again take birth. Punar janma. Punar means again. He will not take birth again. Who will not take birth again? One who does what? In truth, tattva. Of my what? Of my birth and of my activities. Right? So Srila Bharati Maharaj is saying right from the beginning, the subject of Bhagavan's birth and activities are all divine and wonderful, as well as incomprehensible to our mundane intellect. Those who haven't studied Srimad Bhagavad Gita under the guidance of a Vaishnava, they have various doubts. In Puri, a group of devotees from abroad would daily approach me seeking answers to a host of questions. The nature of their queries went such as, when did Mother Rohini conceive Balarama in her womb? So, what has been understood from the shloka from the Bhagavad Gita? Janma karma chame divyam. What has been understood? Shri Balarama, he's the first expansion, the Prakash Vigraha of Shri Krishna. And from him expands Karandakshay Vishnu, Garbhadakshay, Kiradakshay, and Shesha. So when Krishna bewildered Brahma, right? You know that pastime? When Krishna bewildered Brahma? It's called Brahma Vimohan Lila. Vimohan means to be bewildered. How was Krishna bewildering Brahma? Because Brahma was trying to think, who is this little cowherd boy? How can he be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? That's the thoughts that were going through Brahma's mind. But actually it was Yogamaya causing those thoughts to come, which impelled Brahma to do a test of Krishna, a trick. So what did he try to do? He saw Krishna sitting with all the cowherd boys, having lunch next to the Yamuna River, and he was surrounded by circles and circles of thousands of cowherd boys. Krishna's in the center. So Brahma thought, okay, let me steal their calves, because Krishna was very young then, and he wasn't taking the big cows for grazing. So let me steal Krishna's calves. And then after that, you know the whole pastime, I'm not going to go into the details, but then he stole the cowherd boys, right? So, and what happened later? Krishna expanded as each calf and cowherd boy, exactly. No one could tell the difference, not their parents, not the mother cows and so forth. They couldn't tell. But what happened? They became extremely affectionate. Okay, so what he's doing is he's telling about how Brahma was bewildered. So when Krishna bewildered Brahma, he showed at the end how all the cowherd boys and calves had four-armed Narayan forms. So did these Narayan forms enter the womb and take birth? No. How can those who have not acquired any spiritual knowledge understand these topics? Devaki's seventh pregnancy, Balarama, was attracted to the womb of Rohini. Can we fathom such a phenomenon? All these things are possible because Bhagavan is Sarvashaktiman. He's the possessor of all strength. So as a mere child of 6 days, Krishna so effortlessly killed Putana. whose body was 6 krosha long, approximately 18 kilometers, and simply by the act of sucking her breast milk. As Putana's mammoth body lay lifeless, Krishna was without fear playing on the upper portion of her breast. He's only 6 days old. So the Brajavasis, they had to use a ladder to retrieve him. And Krishna was smiling, entirely unscathed, while the gigantic Putana lay slain. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda Jiva Ki Jai, Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna. So, Krishna didn't even have to assume any huge form to kill her. Everything about Krishna is transcendental. And similarly, Balaram sanctified Devaki's womb by first appearing in it, and then during the 8th pregnancy, Krishna appeared in Devaki's womb. Then during the 8th, and it has in parentheses of pregnancy, that would be the 8th month. Then Krishna appeared in Devaki's womb in a splendid 4-handed form, holding a conch, disc, club, and lotus. Is any baby born in this manner? So, how was this possible? When Vasudeva chanted hymns, nothing happened. But when Devaki prayed, now that you have so mercifully accepted to appear as our child, and it hasn't been mentioned that he was born as their child. It is mentioned that he accepted to appear as their child. Those who read Srimad Bhagavatam, they will see that the term angikar is clearly mentioned, which means to accept. Angikar. Hence, Devaki said, now that you have accepted to appear as our child, then please assume the form just like an ordinary human child. Because no one will accept you as Devaki's child in this 4-handed form, holding a conch, disc, club, and lotus. So similar to this query, those devotees had many others. Which devotees? The devotees from abroad, who in Jagannath Puri were daily coming with so many questions. And he's saying that similar to this query, those devotees had many others. Why? Why? Because they did not have sadhu sangha. Hence, Swarup Damodar has said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya 5, Jaha Bhagavat Para Vaishnavaristane Ekanta Ashray Koro Chaitanya Charane. If you want to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, who's saying this? Sri Damodar Goswami. And he's saying it to a particular person who came and wanted to present his writing, his poetry and so forth to Mahaprabhu, but Sri Damodar did not accept because there was flaw in what he wanted, which would have been unpleasant for Mahaprabhu with rasa abhas, fault. But then he instructed him. He said, Jaha Bhagavata Para Vaishnavaristani. If you want to read and study Srimad Bhagavatam, you must go to a Vaishnava. And Ekanta Ashray Koro Chaitanya Charane. In that association, you must take one pointed shelter of the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes. He says, you can do this. You can approach a self-realized Vaishnava and hear from him if you want to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. You can do this when you have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then he goes on and he says, Chaitanyara Bhakta Ganera Nitya Koro Sangha Tabeta Janiba Siddhanta Samudra Taranga. This means associate regularly with the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the only way to understand the waves of the ocean of devotional service. Siddhanta Samudra Taranga. Tabeta Janibo. This is the way. By doing what? Regularly associating with Chaitanyara Bhaktaganyar. Nitya Sangha Kore. So, in this way, we can come to know the waves of the ocean of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's divine teachings. It is not possible to know the entire ocean, but by associating with the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can absorb ourselves in some of the waves of that ocean. This is the reason why we have to repeatedly emphasize that Bhagavan's appearance is divya, transcendental. It is not lokic, mundane. Next subsection, Baladeva appears to give us knowledge of Bhagavan. Why does Baladeva appear? To give us knowledge of Bhagavan. The appearance of Baladev is also transcendental. Baladev is Prakash Vigraha. He appears to give us knowledge of Bhagavan and to explain who Bhagavan is. Balaram holds a plow, and he also holds a mace in his hands. A plow and a mace. Have we seen paintings of Balaram holding these two? Yes, we have. So, just as a field is tilled with a plow to sow seeds for the crops to grow, Baladev plows the field of the heart to prepare it to receive the seed of bhakti. And by his mace, he subdues the opposing tendencies to help us surrender unto Bhagavan. That is why he is Guru Tattva. Next section, the Kaurava's plight. You know who the Kauravas are?
Me?
Yeah.
In the Bhagavad Gita, they're the sons of, can't really remember.
Dhritarashtra. Yeah, they're the other
party, opposing
family. This is a fratricidal war. So the Kauravas, on which side Duryodhana was, they had a plight. What was their plight? When Duryodhana opposed Krishna, Baladev went to advise him. To advise who?
Duryodhana.
Yes. Baladev went to advise him because Duryodhana was his disciple. Because the Guru will always try to protect his disciple. And hence Balaram spoke, quote, "On the order of the all-powerful King Ugrasena, please immediately release Samba and bring him along with his wife Lakshmana before me." Now the leaders of the Kuru dynasty did not appreciate the statements made by Balaram, and becoming agitated, they said with great anger, these are who is saying this? The leaders of the Kuru dynasty, the Kauravas. They said with great anger, "Due to the influence of this age, it appears that the shoes befitting the feet, they want to rise to the top of the head where the helmet is worn." Not a very nice thing to say. So when the leaders of the Kuru dynasty did not heed his advice, then at that time, enraged, Balaram began to drag the entire city of Hastinapur with his plow into the Ganga. The historians, they retort that, quote, "There is no Ganga near Hastinapur. There is Yamuna instead." Actually, the Sanskrit meaning of the word Ganga is water. So all can be addressed as Ganga. That is why it is said in the scriptures, Gangecha, Yamunechaiva, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmade, Sindhu Kaveri. Whose name is taken first? Ganga. means all of these rivers can be referred to as Ganga. It is very difficult to comprehend. There is one verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is spoken by Lord Balaram. It's that same chapter. He says, Nunam nana madonnadha shantim ne chantyasadhava tesham hi prashamo dandha pashunam lagudo yata. So, clearly, this is Balaram saying, clearly the many passions of these scoundrels have made them so proud that they do not want peace. Then let them be pacified by physical punishment as animals are with a stick. Yes. Now, animals can be tamed only by beating. Likewise, striking one with a rod as punishment will make one understand. The terrified Kauravas now surrendered to the lotus feet of Balaram, begging for his mercy. They cried out, Trahi Baladev, Sharanagata, please save us, O Baladev, we surrender. Because why? He was about to drag their entire city and all the residents into the Yamuna, into the Ganga. Next section, Krishna Bhakti will appear by the mercy of Balaram. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has said in his kirtan, Gauranga balite habe pulaka sharir Hari Hari balite nayane babenir Arkabe nitai chander karuna haibe Samsara vasanamor kabe tucha habe. The translation of this, Narottam Das Thakur's song, when I attain the mercy of Baladev Nityananda, then the desire for material enjoyment will become very insignificant. Otherwise, it won't go. Vishaya charya kabe shuddha have man. When the mind becomes freed from material desires, it becomes completely purified. Vishaya means material sound, material touch, form, taste, and fragrance. That's the meaning of Vishaya. And by giving up these things and turning to the Lord, the mind will be cleansed. And in another place, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Madhya Lila 22, Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, Gyani Jivan Mukta Dasha Painu Kori Mane Vastuta Buddhi Shuddha Nahe Krishna Bhakti Vine. He's saying, there are many philosophical speculators, Gyanis. They are belonging to the Mayavadi school, who consider themselves liberated. And they call themselves Narayan. But their intelligence is not purified unless they engage in Krishna's devotional service. Vastuta buddhi shuddha nahe, Krishna bhakti vine. Unless they engage in Krishna's service, their intelligence is not purified. So, Vastuta buddhi shuddha nahe Krishna bhakti vine. Without Krishna bhakti, the intelligence can never become purified. And Krishna bhakti, it will appear when one attains the mercy of Lord Nityananda Balaram. Through association, we will gain some knowledge about Baladev Prabhu. Then only then will our hearts be cleansed. And we will be able to attain our ultimate auspiciousness. Until Baladev Prabhu plows the field of our hearts, making us qualified to attain Krishna Bhakti, it is not possible. Next section, the significance of Nityananda Prabhu's outer appearance. Well, Nityananda Prabhu, he also used to wear a variety of ornaments and fine silken clothing of different shades. And upon seeing him, people would remark that such an appearance doesn't suit him. Likewise, once a co-student of Chaitanya Dev approached him and complained about Nityananda's unusual appearance. Chaitanya Dev replied, "The ornaments adorned by Nityananda, they are representative of Navada Bhakti, the ninefold process of devotional service. Please go and pray to him for mercy, otherwise inauspiciousness will prevail for you. Nityananda takes so many forms for the eternal welfare of the conditioned souls. Is there anyone else in the history like him? Without the mercy of Nityananda, the heart will not transform." Next section, entrance into Vrindavan only by the mercy of Balaram. Didn't Srila Narottam Das Thakur come to Vrindavan? He received Diksha from Srila Lokanath Goswami in Vrindavan itself. He also performed parikrama of Braj Mandala. Despite all this, he says, "Kabe hama herabo Shri Vrindavan." In his song, he's saying, when will I have darshan of Vrindavan? So what question is being put forward by Srila Bharati Maharaj? He's saying, didn't Narottam Das Thakur, yes, he came to Vrindavan. Yes, he received Diksha initiation. He performed parikrama of Braj Mandala. But yet, what is he expressing in his song? Kabe, when? Hama herabo Shri Vrindavan. When will I be able to behold Shri Vrindavan? When will I have darshan of Vrindavan? In this way, Srila Narottam Das Thakur showed us the process of attaining real darshan of Vrindavan. Simply by residing in Vrindavan and continuing to engage in sense gratification, one will not get to see the real Vrindavan. Only by the mercy of Balaram can we get entrance into Vrindavan. And when the mind is cleansed of all material desires, then one will have darshan of Shri Vrindavan. I can speak a lot about the details, but the mood will not come in the heart until the mercy of Balaram, the mercy of Guru Pada Padma is received, just as I mentioned, in the form of different pramans, different siddhantic praman, evidence. Next section, humble submission is the prerequisite. What's the prerequisite? Humble submission. We have to remember the utterances of Srila Rupa Goswami in his humility. He wrote this verse from Stavamala. Adharo pyaparadhanam aviveka hato pyaham tvat karunya pratikshosmi prasida mai madhava. The meaning of this is his own composed verse. Although I am a mine of offenses, and although I cannot tell right from wrong, I still hope for your mercy, O Madhava. Please be merciful to me. Srila Rupa Goswami addresses himself as a kudadana, a dustbin of faults and defects. Is he really a dustbin? Similarly, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said, Jagai madhai hoite muise papishta, puri sher kita hoite muise lagishta, mor nam shune jay tar punya kshoy, mor nam loy jay tar pap hoy. This is Krishnadas Kaviraj, writing it in Chaitanya Charitamrita about himself. This is in Adi Leela chapter 5. I am more sinful than Jagai and Madhai. and even lower than a worm in stool. The pious activities of that person who hears my name are completely destroyed, and anyone who utters my name commits a sin. So, should we not take his name because he has ordered us not to do so? It is very difficult to reconcile. Srila Sanatana Goswami said about himself, "There is no greater fool than I. I do not know myself. I am a multilinguist. I know Urdu, Farsi, Sanskrit, Bangla. I know all these languages, yet I am such a fool that I don't know myself. And that is why I pose the question, who am I?" This he told directly to Mahaprabhu, Sanatana Goswami. It is very difficult to comprehend such profound expressions of humility. Now, this is the last paragraph in this Katha. The subtitle is Nityananda as Ananga Manjari. Among the 5 rasas, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, there is no Uttam Bhakti, no Madhurya Ras, the topmost mellow, in Nityananda. In Madhurya Rasa, Nityananda follows in the footsteps of Radharani as a Manjari, Ananga Manjari. To sequentially guide us to that stage, Nityananda behaves accordingly. Everything is there. So, to bestow mercy on us as Guru Tattva, he manifested as Ananga Manjari, who is junior to Radharani, in order to award us Prem Bhakti. Not everyone knows about this aspect. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubheva. So that's the end of his Katha. And indeed, he has given many, many instructions in this short discourse that we should try to apply in our lives. And we should understand the truth that, as Narottam Das Thakur wrote, without Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, no one can enter into Vrindavan. No one can have the real darshan of Vrindavan, because unless Nitai gives his mercy, one will not be able to give up all Vishaya, desires for material enjoyment. Vishaya chariya kabe shuddha habiman. When will my mind be purified? Shuddha habiman means when will my mind be purified? By giving up Vishaya. Then he says, Shuddha habiman kabe hama herabo Shri Vrindavan. Only at that time, when my mind is purified, can I behold transcendental Vrindavan. And that can be attained only when what? When Nityananda Prabhu gives his mercy. Ar kaber nitai chan karuna hoibe samsara vasana mor kabe tucha habe. That the samsara vasana means the desire to enjoy in the material world. When that samsara vasana will become very insignificant when Nityananda Prabhu gives his mercy. So just to point out, now we're ending, that Nityananda Prabhu is Guru Tattva. And when we say Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, it will not come. It will come through Guru Parampara. Nityananda is represented as Guru. So if we serve our Guru, we surrender, we follow his instructions, we dedicate our life, all of this, then what will happen? Yasya prasadat Bhagavat prasado. By Guru's mercy, Bhagavan's mercy, it will come like this. So on Nityananda, on Baladeva Prabhu's Transcendental Appearance Day, Baladev Purnima, we have made some little effort to hear about his glories from the lips of our Guru Varga, and we hope that we will surrender in our heart more and more, and thus become eligible to become actual candidates for performing pure bhakti sadhana. Jai Shri Baladev ki jai, Baladev Purnima ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Vancha Kalpatajubhascha Kripa Sindhu Patitanam Pavanebhyo